For today's Brush and Learn, we are going to be talking about the Grizzlies and a little bit about their training that we do here. So we do have two bears. They are brother and sister. Their names are Jackson and Cheyenne. They are about 9 years old, a little bit older than that now. They have their birthdays in February. So we do get a lot of questions since they are brother and sister, if we're ever going to be making more little grizzlies. We actually have endangerment that we want to maintain that healthy population in the zoos. So we have our bears because they were pretty much rescues. Jackson and Cheyenne's mother unfortunately passed away when they were very, very little. So they probably would not have survived on their own. So we actually got them from U.S. Fish and Wildlife when they were just cubs. They went to Cleveland Zoo for a couple years while we built this exhibit, and then they came here when they were about 2. So they've been here ever since, and they will probably stay here for an indefinite amount of time, I would say. So if you guys have not already met them, I'm sure you will get the chance. So they will live to be around 30 years old. So they could be considered adults right now. They're full grown. They will probably get a little bit rounder as they get older, but right now they're probably full body size. So Jackson right now weighs about 600 pounds. Cheyenne is a little smaller. She weighs about 450 pounds, so they're actually going into the lightest part of the year for them. So they're coming out of their winter torpor, and they're in their spring body condition, which is when they've kind of used up a lot of their fat supply. So they're looking a little bit thinner right now, and then as they get through summer and into fall, they're going to be gaining a lot of weight. So from the end of winter to the end of fall, they actually gain about 80 pounds per bear. So they have quite the weight fluctuation, so they go through quite an amount of diet changes too. So right now they're getting about 10 pounds of food a day. Then in the height of summer, they're going to get up to about 25 to 30 pounds of food a day. So a lot of people ask us what they eat. They are not strictly carnivores. A lot of times when people think of grizzlies, they think of them just catching salmon out of the stream and killing elk, which I'm sure they would love to do, but these guys are actually big time foragers as well. So they get a lot of fruits and veggies. They actually get that every single day, all year round. And they get protein, but they only get that seasonally. So they're getting a little bit of protein now, then they get a lot in the fall, and then some through winter. So they can get anywhere from bugs, nuts, bones we'll give them. They really like fish, especially Cheyenne. Cheyenne's a little bit more excited about the protein than Jackson is. She also likes to catch wildlife on the exhibit, so if you guys ever see that happen, we know it happens, so don't worry, it'll be okay. Let's see.
Who's this right here?
Right here is Jackson. So Jackson, you can tell him apart because one, he is bigger, and he has a little bit more of a blonde coat than Cheyenne. So Cheyenne has some darker spots around her eyes. So we like to say it's like she's wearing makeup because she's the girl. She is at the very back of the exhibit right now, so you can't really get a good view of her, but we'll probably see her a little bit closer in a little bit. So these two bears, they actually have two very, very different personalities for being brother and sister. Jackson is a little bit more of a silly bear. You guys probably see him playing with his feet a lot, with his sticks a lot. We'll give them all kinds of enrichment. Jackson chooses to play with little twigs. Cheyenne is a little...
It looks like he's sleeping with some twigs right now.
Yes, he does like to curl up with his little sticks and hold them. You'll see him in the pool a lot. He'll have just like a little stick holding it on his nose or pulling his feet up. Cheyenne's a little bit more inquisitive. She's always exploring things. She gets a little bit more high-strung than her brother. So this time of year, Cheyenne gets a little bit hangry because they're coming out of their winter torpor and getting their spring appetite in. Started raining. Jackson's like, why? So the bears actually don't really mind the rain. I have actually seen them just sitting in the middle of the exhibit, staring up into the sky. If there's ever some sort of storm coming in, we do monitor them. In severe weather, we want to make sure there's no high winds or anything like that. We obviously do not want any trees falling in the exhibit. So, we do train the bears to do a behavior. It's called a recall behavior. We do this with all of our dangerous animals, and this is in case of an emergency. So if there was some sort of instance where we needed to get the dangerous animals off of the exhibit and into their bedrooms for the day or for any sort of reason, and then we would do this recall behavior. So we have a special cue for them to do it. So it's a specific noise per animal. So for the grizzly bears, we do ring a cowbell for them. And we only make this cowbell noise when we're doing recall training or when we're actually using the recall. We haven't really had to use it for an actual emergency. A couple years ago, we did have a very large branch fall back by the fence. We got to use the recall then. Didn't know if that fell on the fence because we don't want that. So luckily, the bears came right in for that. And the reason that they are so willing to give up a super exciting new giant branch to play with and come inside is because they get a jackpot reward for coming in for a recall behavior. So every animal gets a special taste test to figure out what their jackpot reward is going to be, because not everybody likes the same things. As you can imagine, the grizzlies and the lions don't really love the same things all the time. So the grizzlies actually get an entire can of cherry pie filling if they come in for a recall training. So as you can imagine, it's not something they get all the time, or else we'd have fat bears with no teeth. So they only get this for recall. So it's extra exciting because that's the one and only time they know they're going to be able to eat some cherry pie filling. So for our big cats, we do not give them cherry pie filling. We did taste test all kinds of weird stuff for them too, though. They do train really well for their typical ground meat diet, but to do recalls, we want them to give up whatever else they have and come inside. So we do use baby food for a couple of the lions, and we've actually tried other things like Cheese Whiz, Cool Whip, all kinds of weird things. So each individual has its own preference, so across the board, everyone's a little bit different. So we were going to try to do recall training for the bears today, but they're already at the door, so we'll see if they walk away. One thing with the bears that is the downside for doing recall training, but a good side in every other element, is that we have a very good relationship with them. So we do a lot of training with both Jackson and Cheyenne. A lot of this is medical based. Actually, it's all medical based. Every behavior that we train is for a husbandry or medical reason. So if we ever want to have the bears do anything for us, obviously we can't make a 600-pound bear just do whatever we want. So we need their cooperation with a lot of things, especially to keep a good eye on their health. So the bears are trained to open their mouths, present their nails, present the pads of their feet. They are trained to get injections in their shoulders, and we are currently training, trying to get swabs or syringes of saliva from their mouths. So every one of these things definitely would not be possible if we would just walk in there and try to do it. So because we do so much training and they are very people-oriented, every time they hear people really talking or people opening doors inside of their building, they're going to come right over and be like, hey, what are you doing? Are we training? Because I really love doing that, and I will be right here as soon as you ask me to. So both of the bears did walk away from the door, so I'm going to see if I can sneak in, and we'll try to practice this recall training for you guys.
Okay. So I Kristen does that, Patty is here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
Oh, make them easy questions though. So it looks like Jackson doesn't want to get his fur wet. So he is kind of made himself a nice snuggly bed. But if you're watching him, he definitely knows when Kristen leaves and goes into the building. So if you're here at the zoo and maybe you're at an animal habitat and the animal is maybe just laying there, not asleep, but then all of a sudden they perk their ears up and they start to look around or even get up and go towards the door, that is because they have either heard, seen, or smelled one of their keepers going into the back area. So they often get very excited to see if anything is going to happen, like training or enrichment.
All right, so Jackson's hanging out in the cave. Let's see, Cheyenne looks like she went down at the whole other end, so she's going to have to run far for her recall.
Oh, that would be good to see and see how quickly she reacts to it. So sometimes when people come to the zoo, they notice that Cheyenne is a lot more active in walking along the perimeter of her habitat, and she will do that for a couple of reasons. Number one, like Keeper Kristen said, she is definitely more interested in exploring. And since she's a female, this is breeding season. So our females tend to be a little more active during this time of year, whether they're looking for a mate or looking for a good place to den up. But as Kristen said, these are brother and sister, so we will not be breeding them. Oh, we've already got one bear.
Okay. All right.
Get out of here, bud.
Everybody needs a little help.
Oh, there she is.
Good.
Oh, look how nicely they sit waiting for their pie filling. Even licking the enclosure to make sure none is left.
Another challenge training them this time of year is they're not very good at sharing sometimes, so you're doing a very good job right now. So we're not going to give them a whole can of cherry pie filling because one, Jackson was already here, Cheyenne came in about 20 feet, so plus I'm not going to blow through cans of cherry pie when there's not an actual emergency going on. But this right here is the training wall. We do training wall sessions every day. In the summer, we do open the doors up for people to be able to see them. So we have a huge space back here. We can do all kinds of training. We do have another training chute inside of their building that we can do a lot of extra special training. We try to actually train behaviors that are a little bit more specialized inside because we can have just one bear at a time. Training both the bears at the same time requires two people. So depending on what's going on that day, we might not always have two people to do it.
So what are some of the other behaviors that they're trained to do?
So they are trained to open their mouths. Cheyenne, open. Good girl. They will also stand on their hind legs. Jackson's distracted by licking the bars. Jackson, up. Good boy. And then while they are up here, Cheyenne's like, I can do it too. While they are up here, we can touch their pads. And then that gets them used to us doing that in case they have any cracks on them that we can put ointment on it or something like that. Okay, dance it. Good girl, pop. nails as well. Jackson completely ripped off one of his nails one year. It was just like a bloody little nub after that. So who knows what he did on the exhibit. But we were able to touch it routinely and check it. So it ended up being fine, but if we would have had to put any medicine on it, then he would have been completely used to us doing that. Down. Down. Boy, Jackson. So we do have them trained to do a side behavior. Down. And if they do it inside, they will actually line their entire body up against the fence. And then they are trained to lean their shoulder into the fence. So we actually, when we want to give them injections, we don't have to just jab them through the fence. They actually lean right into it, which is super cool. It makes a very low stress situation. Open. Good girl.
So how old are Jackson and Cheyenne?
They are 9. They turned 9 in February. Oh.
And how long can a grizzly bear live?
They can live to be around 30. It definitely varies depending on individual and per species, but that's an average life expectancy.
So I do apologize if any of you are asking questions. It appears that Facebook does not want to show me any of your questions. So I do apologize. And if you're wondering why we're not answering any questions, it's because they are not appearing. Every once in a while, Facebook likes to throw us for a loop.
And Cheyenne's like, I'm done. If you don't have anything to do with me, then I'm going to go.
Oh, and then she goes back in.
So Kristen, I have a question. When you're doing a training session, what happens if the bear just is struggling to grasp the concept of what you want? Do you keep doing it and pushing it?
So here at the zoo, we only use positive reinforcement. So when we ask the bears to do something, we only acknowledge the positive behavior that we're asking for. So if they're not doing something, like if I'm asking Jackson to go up, he's a big old lazy bear. Sometimes he doesn't always do it. I'll ask him a couple times, and if he doesn't, I don't scold him or tell him no. I just move on to another behavior that I know is simpler for him, and then reward him for that. He has like foamy cherry pie all over his face. So we like to only reinforce the good behaviors. So when we're actually training a brand new behavior, sometimes it can be frustrating for our animals because they don't really know what we're saying. So we have to be just very patient. And then as soon as they like maybe even accidentally do the behavior, then we reward it like crazy. So everything here is reward based. And we don't ever want to like scare the animal into doing anything because we want all of these things to be positive. So as you can see with the bears, as soon as they figured out something was kind of going on, they came over here because they love participating in their training.
Making sure they got all that cherry pie filling.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Jackson doesn't miss a beat here. He also likes to lick raindrops off the mesh, so he's probably doing that as well. Cheyenne, on the other hand, is like, I see that there is still a can over there. Why are you not giving me more cherry pie? Sorry. Can't have it all the time.
All right. Well, thank you, Kristen.
You're welcome.
All right.
All right. Well, I don't know if it's raining where you guys are at. Another lovely Ohio day. But I think this is a great example. If you ever thought, I might want to be a keeper, they do work in the snow and the rain. So I guess we don't have any questions because Facebook doesn't want to participate. So hopefully we will see you all here at the Akron Zoo sometime in the near future. You guys have a great day.